Hello, my name is Corina and today I'm going to do a first impressions review slash swatches of the Sample Beauty the Equalizer palette. I just got this recently in their Black Friday sale and this is what it looks like. The whole concept behind this palette is that it has half matte shades and then the other half are corresponding shimmers. Even the names are corresponding, like this shade up here is rubber and this is duck, this is tequila and this is lime, and you have couple and tea right here. The shades correspond from this side, these are the mattes and then shimmers, and then down the middle you have a row of neutrals. I wanted to talk about the fact that on the shimmer side there are 1, 2, 3 shades that aren't technically quite shimmers. They are mattes with glitter in them, which I personally don't consider to be shimmers, and I would use them as a matte because I feel like the glitter will just dust off anyway and you will be left with a matte shade, and that's the way I used this shade right here called Lime to blend out the darker green grass. I also want to talk a bit about the packaging. This is cardboard packaging and it opens like up this way, and it also came with one of these protector plastic sheets, and it has a sleeve which you slide the palette in and out of, which it was a bit disappointing for me since I do have their older palettes. I own the Paradigm Shift palette volume 2 and the Tectonic palette, and both of those have boxes. Here's the Tectonic palette, and as you can see it has a box with this kind of thing. I know this wouldn't be a very big problem for most people, but I just feel like the boxes are a bit more secure and the palette wouldn't have a chance to fall out in any way when there is a box, but with this sleeve I feel like it's not as safe. And here's the back of the packaging. It describes the palette here. It says, the Equalizer palette contains an array of velvety, ultra pigmented mattes and perfectly foiled shimmers. With 15 mattes and 15 corresponding shimmers, this mirror palette has got you covered. Again, I don't feel like there are 15 shimmers since those 3 are mattes with glitter, and in my opinion they do not correspond with the shimmer. It says pair rubber with duck, jiba with jabba, gin with tonic. What's your favorite pairing? And these are the ingredients. It says it's not tested on animals. And to avoid direct contact with the eyes, I did put a shade inside my eye and it did touch my eye, and I did not have a problem with that, but usually my eyes do not get irritated, so maybe you want to avoid doing that if your eyes are kind of sensitive. Okay, so now we're going to get into the swatches. I am going to do all of the swatches on my arm right here, and I do want to do each shade on just my bare skin, and then I'm doing it on a wet base. I'm going to use this Revolution Pro Ultimate Coverage Crease Proof Concealer. This is the shade C1. I'm going to start off with rubber. This is it right here.
We are going to go.
And we're gonna go with duck.
That was kind of crumbly a bit.
This is Vitamin. This is C. This is Queen. Bubble. This is Adam. They are swatching very nicely on the skin as well as on top of the tacky base. I did totally forget to do the shimmers too for these three, so I am going to do the white and I will go back to the shimmers. I'm sorry, but this white feels really soft in the pen. Some of the other shades feel like they are pressed a lot harder, like Queen, Bubble and Adam feel a lot different from this Jean shade. There's 3 coats right there and it's starting to show up. This is the matching shade for the red shimmer, which is a matte red with glitter in it. It's called Of Hearts. I feel like this one's a bit crumbly too. We have Gum. This one felt very hard in the pen. And you can see in the swatch, like I didn't pick up that much product on my finger because it was so hardly pressed in the pen. This is Eve, matching for Adam. And then there is Tonic. So these are more of the warm tones from the palette. I'm going to switch arms and I'm going to do the other shades on my other arm so we can have the whole palette swatched. Here is Tequila. This is Grass. Here is Lime. This is Hopper. I did find this one to be the hardest to pick up, and I feel like the swatches are not really as pigmented as I would like them to be. I'm gonna do a second layer just to try to build up this shimmer a bit more. I feel like it's a lot more shimmery on the finger than it is on my arm. This next shade is called Blue. Here is Belle. This is Jiba. This is Hocus. I feel like that was the weakest matte so far. It's very hard pressed and I'm having trouble trying to pick it up. And it's not really building up as well as I would like. This is Jabba. This is Pocus. This is Thunder. that's for one swatch. I am going to do a second layer on this just because I'm curious how the black builds up. This is the shade Lightning. And these are the more cool tone shades of the palette. I'm going to try to squeeze in here the 3 pairs of neutrals that are on the middle row of the palette. First we have Kappa. This is T. This is Touch. This is Base, which is a very light nudie kind of shade and has kind of the same texture as the matte. It feels really soft, but I feel like it's not picking up as much. And as I was expecting, it's not gonna show up much on my skin tone. Here we have Cocoa. And this is the shade Bean. These are all of the shades. I feel like it's a very diverse palette. Overall, everything swatched pretty nicely. I do prefer the swatches on a wet base, which is normal. Since it has more grip, the shades will appear more pigmented, and that is how I do my eyeshadow on a wet base. So that's what I would look at, not the just on bare skin swatches, because after all, who applies their eyeshadow on bare skin? I was a bit disappointed with the shimmer green, which is not really showing up that great, and the matte purple that also was pretty hard to swatch, but we'll have to see what it looks like on the eyes. I do want to mention that after removing, most of the blues didn't stain. I feel like there's the tiniest bit of a stain here, but you can't really see it. But the pink stained a bit right here, so be careful with that if you are using the pink. These are the looks I created with the palette. And if you want to hear my thoughts about the quality of the eyeshadows, then keep on watching. Okay, so what I have in mind is a green and blue kind of look. So I'm gonna start off with the shade Jiba, which is the matte blue. And I'm gonna start packing it on my outer corner, going halfway through my crease. The pigmentation is really nice so far. I'm not seeing any patchiness or anything. The color is very bright, vibrant. Another e.l.f. brush. This is kind of a domey brush. And I'm gonna go into the shade Grass. And I'm gonna pack this from my inner corner and meeting it from in my crease with the blue. I do have a bit of a dry patch right here on my eye, so we're gonna see how they also deal with that. I'm not seeing any problem so far. It looks very pigmented also over my dry patch. Okay, I'm really liking the way this looks so far. I'm just gonna, with this brush, I'm wiping off the excess on my hand. And when I think it's kind of clean, I'm gonna go over the edges the tiniest bit just to diffuse them and get them ready for the next shade. And I'm gonna do that with the blue as well. Okay, next with a small Morphe M562 brush, I'm dipping into the shade Blue, which is the light blue from the palette. And I'm gonna start blending this on the edges of the darker blue. in small circular motions. Another clean Morphe brush. This one's a bit stained, but still. I'm gonna dip into the shade Lime, which is on the shimmer side, but really it's just a matte with a bit of glitter in it, which I really don't consider to be a shimmer, but that's just my opinion. And I am applying this on the edges of the dark green. It's not showing up quite as bright as it is in the pan, but that's because I'm also blending it out, so it's not gonna be as vibrant as it would be when you would pack it on. But I'm really liking the way it's diffusing the dark green. I'm gonna keep going with the same brush, dipping back into the dark green just the tiniest bit, and re-intensifying and blending a bit more. Just making sure that everything is nicely blended, there's a smooth transition. I wish the blue from this palette, the light blue, was a bit lighter, but we can work with it. I'm gonna take another clean Morphe M562. Can you tell this is my favorite blending brush ever? I own like 4 of these and I wish I had a lot more. Dipping into Gin, which is the white shade of the palette, and I'm just gonna go over the edges of my blend. Really trying to make this blend seamless. I'm gonna quickly cut the crease now into a halo eye shape. Okay, now that that's cut, I'm gonna re-intensify a bit the darker shades in my outer corners. So taking Jiba again and just patting right here. Now I'm gonna do a bit of a switch and I'm going to take Lime, and I'm actually gonna blend out the blue with this lime shade right on this side. On the other side, I'm taking the light blue, which is just called blue. I really do wish this blue was the tiniest bit lighter, so I'm going to mix it in kind of with a bit of gin to hopefully lighten the shade a bit. In the middle, I'm going to try out one of the shimmers. I'm going to go in with Tonic, which is the correspondent of the white shade. This is the same brush that I used to cut my crease, and I am just tapping on the shimmer in the space that's left and very lightly blending it in with the shades on the side. Okay, I am just quickly applying some eye primer on my under eye. I'm gonna go and switch things up again. I'm gonna go in with the blue halfway from my inner corner. This is the dark blue. Going in with the dark green on the other half of my lower lash line. Kind of connecting it out here with the blue. blue and gin again to blend out the blue. Taking lime and very slowly blending out the green. I don't know if you can see the glitter kind of flying everywhere as I'm applying lime. Before I finish off this eye with other kind of details, let's switch to the other eye, and I really want to try out the neutral shades in this palette because it does contain a row of neutrals and we're gonna go for those as well. I'm going to dip into the darkest brown of the palette, which is called Bean. And I'm gonna go with this throughout my crease, the same kind of shape I went for with the on the other side with the blue and the green. This time I'm using only one shade though. Okay, that applied really nicely too. I would think the colorful shadows are a lot more difficult to apply than neutrals, so this one did really well. I'm not seeing any patchiness or anything like that. It's very opaque and nice. I'm just gonna take the tiniest bit more of this exact same shade on this kind of a small brush and just buffing the edges out a bit again to prepare for the next shade, so the transition will be a lot easier. Okay, next shade is called Tea. It's a light brown and I'm just buffing the edges out with it. I need more Bean in order to be able to make this transition smoother. They also have this shade which is called Base, which, to be fair, normally I don't really like these kind of shades. They're like a matte ivory, not really my cup of tea, but just for the sake of it, we're gonna take, this is just a revolution brush. It's fluffy but a bit flat on the side, and I'm gonna take Base and I'm gonna blend out everything with Base just on the outside. The same brush, just picking up a bit more tea. I feel like it got a bit lost, and re-intensifying that shade. I'm really liking these neutrals. If I ever wear neutrals, which I don't do a lot, these are the kind of neutrals I would go for. I just wish the brown was a bit darker. I feel like I would love a bit more depth, so when I cut the crease there's a bit more dimension. But we could try out. This is very brave of me to do, but I'm gonna pick up a bit of Thunder, which is their black shade in the palette, and I'm gonna slowly go. I had a very small amount on my brush and I'm just slowly going through my crease to make everything darker. I'm already loving this a lot more. I feel like it just gave it more depth and really tied the look together. I'm gonna cut the crease the same way I cut it on this eye and I'll be right back. I could keep this eye look very neutral, but I really want to play a bit more with all these shimmers on, well, wait, all these shimmer that are on this side. So I'm going to pick a few and try them out. the dark blue shimmer, which is Jabba. I'm gonna slowly pat it on the outside. Kind of keeping the middle in a V shape clean. Just going all the way up on both sides. I'm going to take the light blue shimmer, which is called Belle, and I'm applying that in the middle of my eyelid, everywhere where there's still eye base left. I wish there was a bit more of a difference in between this shade. Like, I wish the light blue was a bit lighter, maybe the dark blue was a bit darker. I just feel like they blend into each other very well, almost like you can't tell a significant difference, just there is a bit of a gradient. Tapping the tiniest bit of eye base on my inner corner, kind of halfway on my lower lash line, and I'm going to pick up the shade Hopper, which is the green shimmer, and I'm gonna apply that right there. Let's try this out. I have no clue if it's going to work out, but I'm going to take a bit of lime, which is that really neon green, and I'm just going over this maybe to lighten it a bit. Because it is a pretty dark shimmer, and I do wish it was a bit lighter. Now, I know these eyes don't really match with each other, but I really wanted to try out also the colors and also the neutrals, so we're just gonna go with it. I'm really loving everything so far, but I will finish my face and come back because I want to try one of these shades. I want to try Touch right here as a face highlight and see how it works out, because I feel like it would look really beautiful. Okay, I am back. I just did everything. Don't ask me exactly what happened with this liner here, because I'm not exactly sure what it's supposed to be. Now I want to use that shade as highlight. Normally I highlight with this brush. This is a Suva 460 brush, and I'm just gonna dip in, dust a bit off. And we're just gonna highlight. That looks really nice. It's a bit too intense. Maybe I picked up too much, but if I just blend it out nicely, it's gonna work very well. Let's go over my final thoughts for the Sample Beauty, the Equalizer palette. Okay, so overall the quality of this palette is really great. I really love the mattes. They were really pigmented and the colors very vibrant. They didn't go patchy on my lid, and when I blend them out, they blend very nicely together and into my skin tone. And the shimmers applied very nicely. They're very shimmery and didn't have a lot of fallout or glitter fall on my face. Overall, I really enjoyed what I've created with this palette, and I want to try it out some more before I can really give my final verdict. So I'm thinking maybe I will do 3 looks with one palette, or maybe 5 looks with one palette, kind of a video, and at the end of that maybe I can give more of a final review after I've tried all of the shades in here and see if there are any duds. So those are my final thoughts on the Simple Beauty the Equalizer palette. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you. Bye.